Hey y'all, welcome back to Ryan and Robert Rants. We are back at you again, continuing the ranked Superman series. Robert, which one are we going to be doing today?
We have made it to the end. We are doing Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, starring our a lot of people's favorites, Henry Cavill, as the titular, Clark Kent Superman role. But yes, we have made it to the final live action Superman movie.
Woo! High five, dude. High five. The
Woo!
promised land. We made it. Yes, this is our final episode of the Superman Rank series, concluding with Man of Steel. If you haven't seen our previous episodes, definitely go check those out. And just like before, we're actually gonna be doing this one a little differently. Me and Robert were talking and we realized how long the other episodes were getting, so we're gonna try our best to keep this one condensed. So we'll be doing a little plot synopsis at the beginning. We'll do a little subjective, objective, um, I guess, conversation based off of what we thought worked, what we thought didn't. We'll do our final thoughts, our out of 10 score as always, and then finally, Robert's pet project, the whole reason the series exists, the tier list ranking. And again, like I said, we're going to be going over this. We are going to be talking in depth about the movie, so spoiler alert, you have been warned. If you haven't seen Man of Steel, definitely go check it out. Definitely check out our previous videos if you haven't seen those, and see the films as well, and get in on the conversation with us because it's a lot of Superman. There's a lot of Superman over the years. What did you say in the first video regarding the comics? We're coming up on 100 years, right, of Action Comics.
Yeah, so Superman's debut was Action Comics 1 in 1938. So what are we, like 12, 13 years now removed from that?
Yeah.
So the first Superman movie came out in 1978, and that was 40 years after, his first debut in the comics. And where we are in the present, 2025, is actually a much larger gap between now and the first movie than the first movie was to Action Comics number one. And like when you think about it like that, it just puts things into like a different perspective. Like like I read something the other day where I don't remember what day it was, like June 2nd or what, it doesn't matter the day, right? But it says we are now closer to 2050 than we are to 2000.
A knife in my
Like we
heart,
were
dude.
we were halfway through 2025 on whatever day it was. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
now we are closer to the year 2050 than we are to 2000. I'm just like, oh man, that just, I don't know. That just
It
like
ages
hits
you real
different. Like
fast.
like when you think about it, it's just like, oh, it's like a huge gut punch.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we've been alive for a long time, and
Long time.
yeah, and speaking of, we got a lot more to look forward to, especially with y'all. A lot of stuff coming soon, but we'll be talking more about that towards the end. But alas, let us conclude Ranked Man of Steel. So, Robert, would you like to do the synopsis?
Yeah, I could start us off, sure.
Yeah, tell us a little about it. What is Man of Steel? Tell me about this piece of art.
It's subjective. But yeah, so the movie opens on the planet of Krypton, not Krypton, Krypton this time. As it's as it faces kind of like an imminent destruction due to its unstable core. So a little departure there from the first one. It's as a result of them just exploiting Krypton's resources, and harvesting the energy, kind of like degrades the planet over time. Jor-El, played by Russell Crowe, interesting
Mhm.
choice, right? So he's telling the council about all this. He plays I guess a scientist, a Kryptonian scientist. So he's telling them about this, that they need to evacuate the planet and resettle on outposts that they have scattered throughout the universe, galaxy. He asked for the control of the codex for the survival of their race because they haven't have been able to have a natural birth in probably generations. So all Kryptonian births have been, I guess, artificial, or basically embryo babies.
Yeah, very
Um,
Matrix, like very very
yeah,
Matrix.
yeah,
The
yeah.
splash of ants.
The right, the ruling council is then deposed by General Zod, this time played by Michael Shannon, and his his followers. Zod wants Jor-El to join him, and as they sever the bloodlines that caused the ruin, which is the council, right? They wanted to cut all those. He felt like they were the ones making the decisions that led Krypton into the fate that it's going in, so he wanted to just like eliminate them and usher in Krypton into a new era, I suppose. Jor-El obviously doesn't agree, and then yeah, he doesn't believe that they should play God and dictating which bloodlines should survive. Um, there's a lot of like Christian motifs with Krypton, and that it's pretty evident like throughout the Superman mythology. But
Yeah.
Jor-El manages to escape Zod. He steals the codex from its storage, and I guess what they call the Genesis chamber. And then he ends
Yes.
up going home, where we find out his wife Laura Zor-El, played by Alet Zur. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her
Vanessa.
name. Vanessa. You
Vanessa.
embarrassed me in front of Vanessa.
Vanessa
But yes,
from
this
Daredevil herself.
yeah they've they've had a natural birth of Kal-El, obviously, right? First one in like generations. So they ended up I guess merging the codex, I guess, with the space pod or some scientific mojo where they send his the ship and the codex off to Earth because they found that planet to be stable, has a yellow sun. They go through the whole thing like, oh, he'll be a god to them, all this other stuff. That's when Zod kind of ambushes Jor-El at his home. He ends up murdering Jor-El. And I think he stabs him, right? Like kind
Come
of
on, Space Jorge.
yeah, right. And then Jor-El and his followers end up being defeated and gets sentenced to 300 cycles
Zod.
into the
Zod.
Phantom. Huh? Is that what I
Zod.
said, Jor-El?
You said Jor-El.
Oh, him too. Throw him into the Phantom Zone too. Yes, Zod and his followers. Yeah, throw him in the Phantom Zone too. Uh, yeah, Zod and his followers end up getting banished to the Phantom Zone for 300 cycles by the Council. Um, yeah, I mean, is there? No, we'll just keep going. So the
Yeah,
infant,
keep going.
Kal-El, he gets the whole story. Lands in Kansas, gets raised by Jonathan Kent, this time played by Kevin Costner, and Martha Kent. Diane Lane, and they name him Clark. We go through the whole, you know, kind of like the origin, but I think Zack Snyder does something different where he kind of flashbacks to the origin. As you'll see Clark doing his little adventure of trying to rediscover who he is, but then he's remembering back to his past throughout the whole movie. So we see him on an oil tanker, saving
With
victims
his
stranded on
stint.
a
Yeah, his
right.
stint with Bubblegum Shrimp, dude.
Yeah, it was not an oil. It was like a shrimp, but he ends up going to like an oil rig because it's on fire. He saves everybody, and then after that, he goes to like some bar in some like I don't know shipping town. Has an interaction with a trucker, just absolutely destroys his truck,
Mm-hmm.
and then he ends up like in the Arctic, where there is a military base there that's already been pre-set up because they found something buried in the ice. That's I think they dated it to what like 7,000 years or something, more or less
Something
than that
like
number.
that.
Yeah, and this is where we're kind of introduced to Lois Lane. She's on the story, played by Amy Adams. Yeah, she kind of latched onto that story. She goes through the whole thing. She discovers like some kind of chamber inside the Arctic where she kind of gets into trouble. Meets Clark. He ends up saving her, and then he ends up. I think he. I'm not sure what happens after. I know he ends up going, but this is where he kind of discovers his origin, right? He meets his father in like some like holographic AI type thing, and only Krypton magic could do, or science. He ends up getting a suit, fly, and he discovers his powers, and then he ends up. We actually get the real cool shot of his takeoff. I know I remember that shot specifically from the trailer, from the first teaser trailer. I really thought it was a great cut trailer. I had Christopher Nolan written all over it, who
Oh
is
yeah,
I think, yeah, he's an executive producer on this film.
and wrote the
They're like,
script with David
yeah,
S. Square.
yeah, they couldn't. He was done with DC for the moment, but they were like, Warner Brothers was like, please stay on, please, please, please.
Yeah.
You made us so much money for Batman.
Now make us more money
Um,
for Superman.
yeah. Clark ends up going home and, kind of having a conversation with Martha about, him discovering everything. And then that's when we find out Zod kind of escapes and comes to Earth. He ends up Clark ends up like transmitting a beacon once he like awakens something inside that Kryptonian, um I don't know, whatever you call it, like in the ice. And that's what led Zod to Earth. And he was like, surrender the Kryptonian, or Earth is going to face, pretty much basic destruction, right? um and that's where Clark, uh they all kind of meet up, or he kind of surrenders himself to Zod. And that's when we find out like Zod's plans are to get the codex and re-terraform, or just terraform Earth into a new Krypton, and then use the codex to kind of basically repopulate Krypton. Obviously, Clark, not having that, wants to basically throw down with all the Kryptonians in what is the absolutely most destructive fight scene, Dragon Ball Z style, we have seen in possibly any movie.
Yeah. Even more than Dragon
I
Ball
mean,
Evolution.
and this is only 6 years after. Uh, yeah, I mean, Metropolis is like gone at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, Clark
Dude,
ends up.
Smallville's gone too.
Oh, gone. Yeah. Poor Pete Ross. What was he? IHOP or something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah, his IHOP got destroyed. Man, the one IHOP in Smallville gone. It will be missed. Yeah, and then Clark, ends up destroying the world engine, I believe that's what it's called. And then him and Zod again have the nice long drag out fight that ends up leading to Clark making probably the most controversial choice that we've probably seen in any Superman movie, or honestly any superhero movie up until this time, is where Zod refuses to surrender, and he says the only way to stop me is to kill me. And Clark ends up just snapping his neck. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a choice, but he ends up stopping Zod, and saving the world at that point. Later on, the military choose not to pursue who he was, or who he is, his identity. You know, Clark reiterates, he's like, "I'm not your enemy. I'm here to do good." And then that's where he, at the end, assumes the role of officially being Clark Kent at the Daily Planet. And that is
And
basically
credits.
your synopsis of the movie, minus some like intricate details. But
Yeah.
go watch the
The,
movie if you want to experience the whole thing.
yeah. Those are good, dude. Those were good. Those are
Thank
real
you.
good rundown of the full movie. So yeah, let's talk what worked, what didn't work. So would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
Um, I mean, we could just kind of play off the cuff. If you want to start it off, go for it.
Yeah. So I'll start with being nice first. I'll say nice things first. So what worked with this movie? Um, First and foremost, Henry Cavill. Great casting.
100%.
Great casting. I think the first time I ever saw Henry Cavill in a movie was Stardust, and I completely forgot he was in that movie.
Is he really in Stardust? Man,
Yeah, he's the one that's bullying Charlie Cox,
see,
the one
again,
who Sienna
another,
Miller's with and
yeah,
whatnot, and
another,
then
yeah.
he ends up making eyes at Robert De Niro at the end. Spoiler alert.
See, I remember her.
Which means in that
We had
movie, De Niro and
just,
Cavill get it on.
we did I think we started watching that because I've seen it, but I saw it when it came out, and I remember I really liked it. But of course, this is when Charlie Cox was before he was Charlie Cox, and I don't even
Oh
remember
yeah.
Cavill, so I definitely got to rewatch it now.
Oh yeah, dude. I freaking love Stardust. That was as
Yeah.
soon as I was like Matthew Vaughn. Okay, I'm sold
Yep.
because I mean he can't go wrong. Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
Argyle. It's okay.
We all have at least one miss.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I haven't
Argyle.
actually seen it. I haven't actually seen it yet, so I just know it.
Oh, you
I
haven't
can't.
seen Argyle yet?
No, I know it got critically panned, and I was just like,
What, dude? I
gotta
went
get around to
opening
it.
night, and it was a
I'm
pretty
sorry.
empty theater.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want you to check it out just so that way we can talk about it.
I will eventually.
But there are some. I'll say something nice again. There's some good things in there. Henry
Henry
Cavill's one
Cavill's
of
in
them.
that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Henry Cavill was great casting for this. What are some other good things I can say? Lawrence Fishburne, nice to see him as Perry White. Amy Adams, Michael Shannon, dude, freaking
Yeah.
kills it as Zod, and that was something I believe I brought up in the second
Yeah.
Superman ranked that we did. Um, that after watching Terrence Stamp's performance, I was like, oh yeah, they knocked it out of the park with casting Michael Shannon as Zod because he's probably the one with the most range in the
Yeah.
movie. Like when you think
Yeah.
about it, because there's moments where he's like really menacing, but then he comes at it from a place of, no, I'm doing this because I care and I love,
Yeah.
my people so much, and you can like see despair. Like he's broken. He's a broken guy, and he's very flawed with his way about going about this. Like, yeah, this is for the good of my people at the detriment of something else where it's going to involve sacrificing others in order to get
Yeah.
that. But for him it's a noble and just cause, but it's like, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
um
I don't remember the line, but there was a line he says something along lines. I don't remember if he's saying it to Jor-El or Clark about, each Kryptonian when they're born have a predetermined role. And his role was to like lead, like to be the general. And he goes, the line, I don't know the line like word for word, but it's basically something like, if I have no people, then who, like basically what am I? Like if I have no people to
yeah
lead, then I'm no one. And like that right there adds that little layer. Like it's just, and like you said, he has that menacing, he can be calm and but also menacing, and then kind of just flip like that to be where he's just like, shouting, and he has like a passionate like whatever, and then he's just I don't know. You're right. He definitely can. He shows the full range, and he oftentimes does it from like the start of one like dialogue to the end of it, and it's just like all the way there. So I agree. He was I mean, honestly, I don't think they missed on the casting too much. Like I think
no,
like
the casting is on point, dude. The casting is
yeah
probably the best thing about this movie. Having said that, and said some good things that work, I'm going to pivot now and I'm going to talk about what didn't work. Um, there's a lot of flaws with this movie. There's a
yeah
lot of flaws. The first one is the tone and the direction of the movie. So when we first saw this, we saw this opening night way back when. I remember that. You were there, I was there, Steven was there, and we were watching it in theaters. Now, the one thing that I walked out of there, and I still maintain this to this day, when you watch the trailer, yes, it did say, from, if I remember correctly, from visionary director Zack Snyder and Chris Nolan, writer of the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, it was like up there, like real big.
yeah
So this is coming hot off the heels of the Dark Knight trilogy, which
yep
was huge. Again, those of you that don't know anything about that, it was big. It was a
yeah
very big trilogy. It just gained more traction as the next movie came out. Now, you also have to look at it at this time. Marvel is thriving. This is 2013 when this is coming out. 2012, they just dropped The Avengers, first Avengers
yep
movie. This is the team up. This is something that you had not seen before. And people were like, my God, like that was one of the greatest movie experiences I've ever had. And it was the biggest movie of all time at that time. So, again, if you don't know about it, Marvel and DC, two very different companies, but they do the same thing. They have superheroes. And honestly, they're always competing with one another. Now, Warner Brothers and DC had Dark Knight. That is their tentpole. That is their whole, like Lego Batman says in the Lego Batman movie. DC, the house that Batman built, like
Yeah.
literally. And with the MCU, they had a completely new approach to something no one had ever seen before, which is we're creating a cinematic universe by releasing this into phases. And each movie and each character will have a standalone movie which will just focus on them, their journey, and their story. And it'll fill with the characters from their world. And ultimately, these individuals will come together in one big event. It was sort of like how back in the day on crossover episodes of TV, they would always advertise it, oh, the TV event of the year, the crossover. It's
Yep.
essentially what it was on a very, very grand and big scale. Now, at this time, again, Marvel is thriving with the success of the Avengers and the fact that their gamble paid off of having these standalone movies make a decent amount of money and then coming together to make even more money, thus showing that, hey, this is a success. Let's keep doing the formula. Now, the issue with this, and I wanted to say this to the end, but I feel like we have to talk about it now, is that you can see that DC panicked
Oh yeah,
and they had
100%.
Man of Steel come out. Like they were like, okay, we're gonna bank on Chris Nolan's name because he gave us Batman. Well, if he can do Batman, then he can certainly do Superman. And this is where we get that conflict of tone. You have Chris Nolan, who's known of as I want to try to make the movie as grounded and as realistic as possible. I also like messing with time and I like messing with family dynamics. And then you have Zack Snyder, who is he's very much show. Very, very much show. 300, Dawn of the Dead, which I still maintain is a very, very good movie. And he worked with
Very
James
much
Gunn
so.
on that. Like, that was
Written
the
by
first
James
time.
Gunn.
Yeah, written by James Gunn, directed by Zack Snyder. That was a good match. With this, there's a lot of issues with this where this tries very hard to be a Chris Nolan movie while looking like a Zack Snyder movie while also looking like a Chris Nolan movie. And a big issue that I figured out, especially watching it, was the camera. The way that the camera is used, especially in the opening scene, those close up shots are way too close up. Like it doesn't feel cinematic. It doesn't feel like it almost feels like I was watching it and I got a headache watching it the other day, just because my eyes were like, oh my God. And then the way that they use the light too, it's like, oh, I want to try to be artistic with it. I'm like, you're going about it the wrong way. I'm like, you're trying to shoot this film like how Chris Nolan would shoot a film, but Chris Nolan knows how to shoot a film. He knows how to fill a frame to where it's telling it and it's not going to be all discombobulated because there's random zooms, pan outs, flashes, the camera shaking left and right to try to, show you, oh my God, there's action. And then, like I said, the lighting, like whenever it shows the sunlight, it's worse than the freaking JJ. What's his thing? JJ Abrams.
Like the lens flare.
Lens flares, yes.
Yeah.
It's as bad as a lens flare. It's not a lens flare, but it's like the equivalent
Yeah.
of it. And it was something that I could not unsee this time. And again, it's the shaky cam thing that they do to try to create tension. It's like, no, like I don't need shaky cam in this. Like just give me a beautiful shot, pan it, something like that. You know what I mean? Like make me
Yeah.
like different techniques, but it's so like they're trying to make it like a war movie almost. And war movies shot so much better than that.
Yeah,
So like
1917 comes to mind.
yeah, 1917, We Were Soldiers, Saving Private Ryan. I know is, I mean, kind of the same of what's going on in here, but at least it's done in a way where it's like, okay, this is, you know what I mean? Like it's telling something. This is just like we're doing it for the sake of doing it, and it really takes me out of the movie. So there's that. Um, uh, the destruction.
Yes,
This
so much destruction, way too much.
way too much. And the reason I don't like the destruction is because all of this goes against it. A hot take. I don't like this portrayal of Superman. I do not like this portrayal. I'm not saying I don't like Henry Cavill. I don't like how Superman is portrayed. And I mean that in the sense of Superman has always been about truth, justice, the American way. And even when you see it, like when I see the way Christopher Reeve portrays Superman, it's about doing the right thing. He's very noble, very, that's how he was raised. He was raised with those values of, stand up for the little person, um, right the wrongs. But there's a way about going with it. With this, no. This is all emotion.
Yep.
This is all out of emotion. There's no tact to where he's like, you know what? Like, he's not worried about the citizens until after the destruction's been done. Like, the Smallville scene. Like, he could have taken them, yeah, let's just fight in a field. No, we're going to take it to a train yard. That train yard, then we're going to take it to the city. Okay, y'all get back inside. And then the military shows up. Okay, we're just going to lay bombs and missiles
Yep.
straight down into the city. And then helicopters are flying, falling out. Chris Maloney's still alive after the helicopter crash. Yeah, somehow. And there's just so much destruction in this movie. And that's not even talking about when they get to Metropolis, where it's just like, no. And then they have the nerve to show Superman and Lois kissing in the middle of everything. Speaking of, in that scene right before the ship goes down, when Chris Maloney's like, he's basically like kamikaze right into the world engine. Dude, my boy Emil, the scientist, they just kill him.
Yeah.
Richard Schiff, dude. Like
Yeah,
they just kill him. Like I'm like, Lois falls out. Oh my god, gotta save Lois.
Gotta save Lois. Yeah.
But everybody else, like yeah, and God, Lois is surviving everything in here. Just like just like Superman Returns. Yeah, Kate Bosworth, freaking Lois Lane. At least that one, we're watching her take hits. This one, she's just like, oh, I'm in the middle of, the apocalypse, but it's okay. I'll survive.
Yeah.
And then, there's one thing that did bother me, one scene. It's the whole thing with Jenny, which you can't tell me that's not supposed to be Jimmy Olsen. You cannot tell me that Jenny is not supposed to be Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
And there's an article from like 2013 too where they say, no, it's not. I'm like, come on. Then where's Jimmy Olsen? And then they try to shoehorn him into Batman versus Superman. I'm like, come on. Like, no.
Yeah.
Jenny,
like
Jimmy.
A CIA operative or something like that?
Yeah. Which they never even tell you that it's him.
Yeah.
You only know it from looking at the credits. And I think it's the director's cut.
I think so, yeah.
That it's in. It's not even the theatrical release. But yeah, that whole thing happens. She's the reason they almost die because she's like, oh, the building, oh. And then Perry waiting till the last minute to evacuate everybody. They're like, oh no, let's just watch, even though it's like right there outside the freaking window. And then at the end, when homeboy, what's his face? He comes up with the tickets. He's like, hey Lois, you want to go? And she's like, go to the intern pool. And then Jenny just gives him that smug, like, whatever. I'm like, dude, he saved your life. It's the least you can do. Just go to a game with him. You don't have to do anything. You're just going to a game. He's just inviting you to a game. Yeah. I'm just like, that. And we've talked about this off air. Another big issue that I have with this, there is no Clark Kent.
Nope.
There is no Clark Kent in this movie. And I know people are going to be, what do you mean? Of course there's Clark Kent. Of course there is. Of course there is. No. Clark Kent is an alter ego to Superman. Superman is an alter ego to Clark Kent. They are two different characters. We do not get Clark Kent in this movie. She already knows he's Clark. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of it, is that nobody knows he's Clark except those who are close to him, his mother, his father. And in this, she already knows. Cat's out of the bag. There's no tension. So there's no point in him putting on the glasses at the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, so Clark Kent. It's like, and he doesn't do anything different. He's just like, no, it's still Henry Cavill just
Yeah.
wearing glasses. Like, that's it. There's no, like, oh, like his hair's different, or he's like making mistakes and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, just being like a bumbling fool. Like, something like that. Like, that's how you establish that character. That's Metropolis Clark Kent, like we've brought up before, because there's also Smallville Clark Kent. But that's the thing, he doesn't exist in here.
No.
And
And
that's an issue.
yeah, I think if we would have got a true Man of Steel sequel, then this movie could have been the like Clark Kent's origin story, right? Not as technically a Superman origin. Like it was different that Lois discovered who he was, but at the same time, he still needs to hide his identity from the rest of the world. But again, just putting on glasses not going to do it. So I think Snyder didn't understand the Clark Kent aspect of Superman. Um, but before I get into like what I thought was, I'm gonna so talk touched upon it. Like I did it, like the cast of it was, I think it was very well cast. Um, Henry Cavill is probably the most imposing Superman we've had. Like just the dude's an absolute specimen of a human being. um, and then like Lois, I thought was decent. I mean, Amy Adams is a great actress. And I mean Michael Shannon by far I think stole the show, stole the movie. Brought like a nuanced perspective to Zod, like where he's just not just a one liner, right? Like because in Superman 2, all he says is like kneel before Zod, like just over and over and over again. So I mean, I thought Michael Shannon played that role pretty well. I think overall for the story of this movie, I think for me it gets a level above like Superman Returns, even though I love it. It was just Superman Returns was kind of just a redo of Superman. So I appreciate that this one being slightly like different in terms of we're going like the terraforming route. I mean, it's almost I wouldn't say it's kind of like I mean, at the time I couldn't tell you of any other movie that did terraforming, but I'm sure there's been plenty of them. Just I can't ring anything off the top of my head. So it's probably been done before, but I appreciate them one not using Lex Luthor as the villain, or and then kind of going more of a alien ish, with the story. And I do like, I mean, okay, so this film was Zack Snyder's attempt to be in Chris Nolan, so that's why
Mm-hmm.
it kind of feels like Nolan, but it has the spectacle, for better or worse, of Zack Snyder, right? So I like the fact that the origin is kind of told, or his younger years is told through flashbacks as Clark is trying to discover who he is as his Kryptonian background, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff because again, like when Clark is being raised, he becomes who he is because of the Kents. But in this one, there was a line where after Clark saves the kids on the bus, and
Oh yeah.
Jonathan was like, kind of scolding him, and he's like, "Well, what was I supposed to do? Let them die?" And he goes, "Maybe." I'm like, "What do you mean, maybe?"
Thank you for
Like,
bringing that up.
no.
I forgot to bring that up. Yeah, because Jonathan Kent is the heart and
Yeah, like, what do
soul
you
of
mean?
what gives him that love. Yeah, and he's just like, it's so negative. That's another thing
Yeah,
about this, is just this is the thing about DC too, is that it was Dark Knight was so realistic, but it was also dark. and
But you could do
gritty.
that with
And this is how,
Batman.
yes, because that's the character. But it's also that mentality of this is how the world really is. And that's what they tried
Yes.
to incorporate with Superman. But Superman is not that
Yeah,
character.
you forgot the identity of Superman of being hope. Like they say it, yeah, this symbol means hope in my, on my planet. Where was it in this movie? Like it was non-existent. So again, I the cast great. I do overall enjoy the story in terms of it wasn't just straight linear, right? I do appreciate a kind of a non-linear story as so long as it works. Um, but so those are my two biggest, like, I guess, positives for this movie. And so right off the bat, like if I'm gonna say what I didn't care for is the how desaturated it looks. Like there was no color. Like even his suit was muted. Like Krypton was muted. I like everything about it was just kind of gray or not like gray, but it was
Depressing.
just like yeah, desaturated. And again, that to me, that's not what I think of Superman. Like his suit, bright primary colors, red, blues, yellows. Like where is it?
Popping. Like,
Yes, like he's the center. Like make him pop off the screen. Um, and that was like nowhere to be found in this. And like there, I didn't have that sense of like hope for this. Like not necessarily like the hope of where this movie was going, but like it didn't give me
no,
like a
yeah, that
sense
too.
where like
I hope
because
it was
like
going to a good place.
Superman is probably the most recognized superhero in the entire world. Like every kid, when they're like, "Oh, I want to be Superman," it's always Superman. It's like,
Tying
yeah,
a blanket
Batman.
around your neck, dude. Tying a blanket
Exactly.
and running around like that.
Yeah, I didn't. You don't get that from this. Like this movie was for sure made for more of adults as opposed to like everyone, right? Um, I and then so there's that. I thought Lois, she had a whole lot to do in the beginning of the movie, and then I had a whole lot of nothing to do in the second half of the movie except being a
Yeah.
damsel. I did like that we actually got her being a reporter. Like we didn't really get her being like a true reporter in like any of the movies. Like yeah, she did some reporting, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a
We got her
focal point.
talking about it.
Yeah,
And then
it
this, we got
wasn't
to actually visually see her.
see it. Yes, so that I did like that like in the beginning, but then later on it just kind of fell off where she kind of just became the damsel, at least
Yeah.
towards like the climax of the film.
Did they say she
Um,
has a Pulitzer in this one already, too? If I remember
yeah,
correctly, they said she already has a Pulitzer Prize.
I'm not. Maybe
If I remember when she's getting scolded by Perry.
I think so.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think I think he did.
remember.
I think he did make a comment saying, "This is not how I want my Pulitzer Prize winning journalist to behave," or something. It was something I
Yeah.
think. So it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um.
there's. Yeah,
I was just
there's.
gonna touch up more on the destruction because I did pull
Yeah,
that up.
yes, please,
so
please.
so it says it is estimated that the battle between Superman and Zod in Metropolis caused an estimated 700 billion in physical damage, which again, this is estimations based on like I'm sure someone somewhere did a study because why would I mean, let's do a study on a fictional movie. And it said the total economic impact, including cleanup and everything, could cost around 2 trillion. And then it said the analysis also estimated a substantial human toll with about 129,000 deaths and over 250,000 missing. So that right there, again, the spectacle, amazing. Again, you prove that someone can make a real live action Dragon Ball Z movie. However, Superman is all about the people saving, getting everything away from all that whatever. And nah, he
Yeah,
was just he was throwing them in buildings. Like again, looked
dude.
good, but it wasn't in line with the character of Superman. So
Okay.
again, that's where he went more for the spectacle as opposed to understanding the true character of Superman. And I mean, I get it. Like as like a regular fan, yeah, cool. It looks great. Like you can go back to Transformers. Like yeah, Michael Bay didn't have any understanding of who the robots are, but hey, it looked good, right? This
Yeah.
explosions, destructions looks great. Um, I think, and okay, there was one. I think there might have been even two, but there's definitely one Wilhelm scream. I had to point that out.
Yes. It's when Miss
Half
Lane,
the
don't
plane.
stand at the end.
Yeah. Yep. Gone.
Oh,
Uh,
there was something I noticed. I forgot to mention it when he's in the Indian Ocean with the world engine. He keeps coughing. He's like, dude, the ADR sounds really bad. Like really, really bad in those scenes because it
yeah.
sounds like he's in a booth going.
They're like, yeah, we'll just muffle it. Whatever.
Yeah,
But
but
like
yeah,
honestly, we wouldn't even hear his coughing out of all that noise. Like if you really get down to it, right? Like you didn't even need it.
yeah. That's why it was a weird choice when I was like, I've
Yeah.
never noticed that before until this viewing.
Like you could visually show him like, like just doing the motion of coughing. We don't actually have to hear it personally. I mean,
Yeah.
because there is a thing where let the actors act, and that includes facial cues. Like actors. I mean, we did this with Daredevil with Vincent D'Onofrio, who's like a master at facial ticks or whatever. And it's like, yeah, like with his eye twitching, it's kind of. I mean, actors can do this, right? Like let them act without actually creating like dialogue or anything, right? Like let us see that on their faces.
Wyatt Russell is
Um,
John Walker.
Perfect example. Amazing. Yes. But I mean, honestly, that was oh, I did. You'd have a appreciation. So like the world engine, and not even like necessarily the world engine, but it was maybe that or the opposite end in Metropolis. But tell me why that looked kind of like the cover to Trivium's Vengeance Falls. I thought,
Inspiration, dude. It's everywhere.
yeah, I don't know which one came out first, but I'm just like I was like watching it, and I was like,
Oh,
I
Man of
mean, this
Steel.
movie might
Man of
have
Steel
came out.
came out first.
I think so, right? And I think because that one came out in 2014, but I'm like, I was looking, I was like, that looks like the album cover. I was like, but yeah, I mean, I had to bring that up because I knew you'd appreciate that.
Oh heck
Um,
yeah, dude. To answer your question, oh, actually, it came out later that year in October.
oh wow,
Yeah, in
interesting.
2013. Yeah, because
Really?
Man of
Okay.
Steel came out. When did Man of Steel
It
come
came out
out?
in
In like April,
2013,
right?
but
May,
June,
June,
maybe July.
August, September, October, November, June 14th. Oh yeah, so a
Okay.
couple months later.
Yeah.
Inspiration, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah.
The world engine. So again, too. This is another issue. The stakes were too high for your
Yeah.
first movie. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, world ending. It's like, whoa, like let's scale it
Yeah.
back a little bit. Let's see Superman saving people, helping people, which he does in here, but it's a little more grounded in reality where it's like, oh, an oil tanker, oh, a bus crash, oh, this and that. One thing I want to mention, I don't know if we've ever talked about Kevin Costner's delivery during the tornado scene when he's like, "Oh, the dog's still on the thing." He's like, "Let me go get him." He's like, "No, no, no, I'll get him." It's that. No, no. It's sort
Yeah.
of like if like we were to go out to eat and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy for myself." And I'm like, "No, no, no, Robert, I
No,
got you.
no, I
I
got
got
it. Yeah, yeah,
you." Yeah, like it was just the delivery, like it, like take
yeah.
two.
Bro, there's a
Like,
tornado. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "No, no, no." Yeah, and I love Kevin Costner, I really do, but I'm like, that's a take two.
Yeah.
I need a little bit more.
And they do the one thing that you definitely should not do in a tornado and go under an overpass. You
Yes,
definitely should not do that.
which
Do
has been
not do that.
proven and I guess is shown in Twisters, which eventually
Yeah.
we'll talk about that too. So I got stuff to say on that one.
Definitely the first one.
Yeah. Oh, first one, the goat. The
Okay.
second
Yeah.
one,
It was
um,
entertaining.
yeah, I have some reservations about that film, but alas,
It's bringing us our
yeah.
future Superman.
What's up?
It's bringing us our future Superman.
Yeah,
Tying it all back.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have on my end, at least what I can remember and think of my biggest gripes with the movies. But like I said, I said some really nice things at the beginning. I tried to at least.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on your end?
No, just I mean, you touched up on it at the end about like, and I think I might have, kind of taken it, but like this movie was probably leaning more towards like a Clark origin story. But even though we got like the movies after, I still don't feel like Snyder quite understood the difference between Kal-El and Clark Kent. Like we didn't get a full Clark Kent. And I mean, nothing against Cavill because I think Cavill is a great Superman. Don't get me wrong, like I love him as Superman. I wish we could have continued. I really wanted a true sequel to Man of Steel because I don't consider
Yes.
BVS that sequel.
God, no.
But I mean, so I just don't think we got that dual personality like that was portrayed so well with Christopher Reeves. Like he did it amazingly. Like you saw there was a distinct, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
two
oh,
different
hey, hey,
characters. Yeah.
Lois, oh,
And then
hey,
and
and
then if
then
you're and if you're seeing Superman in
Lois.
passing, right? Like you're not gonna put two and two together. Like if you see him, you're like, oh yeah, yeah. And then you see Clark and you're just like hunched over, he probably loses like 3 or 4 inches because he's hunched over, stuttering, bumbling. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I just don't think kind of quite got the difference between Kala and Clark with this film.
And I think I just figured out why, and it's something you just said a second ago, is that he does not focus on creating the two. He's
Mm-hmm.
so focused on portraying Superman as the Messiah
Yeah.
with, like you said, the imagery, the Christian imagery is all over this. Like everything, even the words that they use, he'll be a god to them. And then just like the floating like he does like throughout the movie. Again, very Creed, Scott Stapp. Oh man.
Yeah. And they hammer that home in BVS too with the that's
It's
where
out of
he does
control
and
in
that's where
BVS.
like he like instead of doing full Nolan, he just goes back to his old like you know whatever his old style and like you have the slow motions and stuff like that and it's just like oh
Oh
man like
dang, you're right.
he didn't do much of the slow motions in this one.
No. Oh my god,
Yeah,
how did I not realize that?
because it's him trying to be Nolan. It's him imitating Nolan.
Yeah.
But when he takes over BVS and then goes into Justice League, like he just slow motion. He's
Yeah.
pulling back to that old 300 Watchmen style of like filmmaking, and I'm just like, bro, we get it. You like slow motion. It
Yeah.
works sometimes, but do not overdo it. If you overdo it, it loses its impact. It
And then
worked
you end up with
well in
Rebel Moon.
300. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing with 300 too was that, especially with some of those shots, he was like, well, it's because we're using the cameras to do other things too. So it was
Yeah.
like, okay, you're using the technology in a really unique way to tell the story. But now you're just using it as, oh, it's my signature thing. I do it. Like,
And
a
it
good
worked well
example.
because he was he was like imitating the panels right from the comics, so it
Yeah.
works well. So it's like when you see the slow motion and it kind of stops for like that, not necessarily stops, but it definitely slows down. You see it like, oh, that's a comic panel. And then it does it again, like, oh, that's another. So it kind of the slow motion kind of stop was the comic panel, and then like basically the transition between was the like going from one panel to another. So it works when you're telling a story like that, but you don't need to do it all the time. Not for every movie.
Yeah. Case in point, Sucker Punch. A movie with so much potential of how it was described before it came out as Alice in Wonderland with machine guns, and that this was going to be a hard R movie, hard rated R movie. I'm going to get PG-13.
Yeah.
It's toned down, but they still try to push it, and it's just like, no. And again, that's what I mean, just going back on stuff, just like conflict of vision, conflict of execution. And yeah, we end up with this. But alas, what do you give this
All
out of
right.
10?
I'm gonna go first. Let's see. All right, so let's recap because I wrote my scores down for this one. Sorry, Mission Impossible. So the first one gave it an 8 out of 10. Second one, I gave it a 6 out of 10. We won't even do 3 and 4. Superman Returns, I gave a 7 out of 10. So overall, I enjoy the cast. I think Henry Cavill's an amazing Superman. Um, I did like the story. I especially I liked it more than, for the most part, the story and the script was good. I in terms of I liked it more than Superman Returns. The only my only real gripes is one is how the movie overall how it looked. Man, we didn't even talk about the score. But anyways, um,
Oh, you're right.
it
Hans Zimmer, dude.
look
The score's good.
the
That's a
score's
plus.
good, but I didn't need to hear the Superman theme song every time Henry Cavill came on screen, though.
True. Yeah, because it does go
I mean, yeah, yeah,
like the
yeah. And
drums
again,
kick in.
I I don't know if that's a like a Snyder thing where he's like, no, I want the music hitting every time that like with Wonder Woman every single time in Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Hey, but not as bad as the Zack Snyder cut. Where's the?
yeah, exactly. So I think, and again, visually looks great. It's a great spectacle. I don't think Zack Snyder understood his main character all that well, so I'm gonna have to dock it for that. Man, it's so hard because like I kind of want to give it the same score as Superman Returns of a 7 out of 10. I think that's where I'm gonna go with it. 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Because overall, I did like it. And honestly, before this ranking, I probably would have had Superman Returns at like a 6. But after doing
Yeah.
this rewatch, I think I had like a newfound appreciation for the movie. So I think I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Now the hard part is where I rank it for the tier
Yes.
list, because now
Which we,
Superman Returns and Man of Steel have the same score.
so
Anyways,
with that being said, I was trying to find all my documents on what I was what I rated the other ones. I honestly don't remember. Um, I do know that I rated Superman Returns a 7.5, and like I said, the first thing I said on there was it's a step in the right direction.
yeah,
This is not. Um, so initially when because we were talking about this earlier more or less about like recording it and how I had watched it again, and my I want to give it a 6 out of 10. And the reason being, like I said, it's because it's an entertaining movie. I will
yeah,
say that. It is an entertaining movie. It's a popcorn movie. It's a tentpole.
oh yeah,
But story-wise, tone-wise,
yeah. I didn't care for the
visually,
tone.
yeah, it's so all over the place. And it's again, it's just a lack of a set vision of like, like I want to do this. It like we've said before and like I've maintained since the very first viewing of this movie, it is Zack Snyder trying to do his best Chris Nolan.
Yep,
Said it the first day we got out of the theater, and I still say it to this day. He is trying to
yep.
do his best Chris Nolan, and it does not succeed. There are good things about this movie, but the bad outweigh the good. So, again, I got to give it a 6 out of 10 for
That's fair.
previously stated reasons.
For
But,
for those
like you
who only like Rotten Tomatoes, that would still get a fresh.
and I'm not one of those. I do not like Rotten
No,
Tomatoes. I never have, and I will never use it.
that basically just
I
tells you like 95% of the people gave it a 6 out of 10 or higher. That's all
Yeah.
you need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if a movie has a Rotten Tomato score of a 95% fresh, that means it could have gotten all 6 out of 10s. Like 95% of the critics gave it a 6 out of 10. It's still going to be a 95% certified fresh. That's all that means. Metacritic is your aggregate.
And here's my response to those sites. People, make up your own mind. Watch a
Also, that
teaser
too.
trailer, look at a poster. If it intrigues you, go watch it, form your own opinion. Don't ever read a review before you
No.
go see something. Just do
Yeah.
it. experience it yourself, then write a review, because do not go in with expectations. The thing will never live up to your expectations. And if you overhype it, you are going to be very disappointed. If you underhype it and it doesn't perform as well, then hey, you're fine. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
Or
way
if
to
you,
live. It's an easy way to live, and it's less stress.
yep. And if you underhype it and it blows you away, all the more better.
Yep, can confirm.
Yep.
Case in point, Hard Eyes. Definite recommend. If you haven't seen the movie Hard Eyes, pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised.
So
All right, where are you gonna
yes,
rank this? Where are you
we've
gonna
made
rank
it.
it?
We've made it to the end, Robert. It is time for the tier list.
You go
Bringing it
first.
up right now. This is you, man. This is your baby.
I gotta
Take
go
us home.
first.
Yep, you got to take us home.
Ooh, well, I gave it the same score as Superman Returns, so that pretty much immediately eliminates C through F. So it's gonna be. Do I want to rank it? It's gonna be a B tier, I think, for me. But do I want to rank it in front or behind Superman Returns? Man,
Question.
this is hard. This one's a difficult one to do. Uh, like the hardest part, like with Superman Returns, like I don't think that movie did anything great, like to the point where it's like all the good things was so far above where it was kind of like the middle, right? So like all the good things and the nitpicking bad things kind of just like cancel, it's kind of like right there in the middle. Whereas Man of
Yeah.
Steel, like all the good things for me are high, but all the choices are so it's like it's more of a
Overshadows
polarizing.
it.
It's like more of a polarizing. So it's like it's a polarizing gap where like the good, the bad for Man of Steel, but then for Superman Returns, it's like this, right?
Yeah.
Um, Man, it's so hard because I like I mean nothing against Brandon Routh, but I liked Henry Cavill more as Superman, not Clark Kent. Again, not his. They just didn't write Clark Kent well.
Yeah.
Man, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
The pressure.
Man, we're gonna spin. Uh, I think just barely. I'm probably gonna slot it ahead of Superman Returns, but like it's
All right.
bare like
Like,
decimal of
like
point
third
zero
decimal.
one, like 0.01, and I think it's just because of Cavill.
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
that's where I'm going with right now. But that one was difficult. Like honestly, all the other ones not difficult at all. That
Yeah.
one was tough. That one was tough.
And the thing that made it easier with the other ones is because of the consistency with the same actor and being
Yeah,
able to go based off of his performance. But that's the thing, is that his performance was more or less consistent. It was the story that was the issue. Now with this, it's like the actor's good, but the story, you know, same situation. It is not C or D tier. It's not A tier either for me. This definitely sits in a B tier, but having said that, now I'm conflicted about where Superman Returns is, because I do agree with you about the polarizing thing, where I do enjoy Henry Cavill's performance and I enjoy Brandon Routh's performance, but story wise, it's like Man of Steel is, I feel Man of Steel is more entertaining than Superman Returns, but Superman Returns has a better story and it's better visually,
I
and
think
it's
I think.
closer to the core of the character, of who the
See,
character
I thought the
is.
actual story for Man of Steel was slightly better, like just from a not like in a way of how the story is told, right? But I think the overall just plot, like of terraforming the Earth, with all the other, I mean, Superman Returns for me, I think I also had to dock it just because it was just almost a rehash of Superman.
Yeah.
Just slight, like, it's like, hey, copy my work, but just change a few things. So that's where I had to like. Also, that's where my line of thinking of docking it just a little bit. But that's just my opinion.
So I will say this about Man of Steel. It's a B plus.
Okay,
It's a
that's
B
fair.
plus. It's not an A. It's like it's oh you were so close to getting that A, but you're gonna be an AB honor roll student.
That's
Just
fair.
as just like I said with Superman Returns, it's an A minus. So it barely squeaked through. So they're neck and neck. If it was like a point one or like a negative one on this side and a positive one on this side, that's where they sit. Right
Nice.
there. Like they're close. But when I think back on it, I actually enjoyed Superman Returns more for the story. Now,
Yeah,
like you
I
said, it's a
honestly,
rehash, but I love the performances in there. Like it felt more akin to an actual Superman movie.
yeah,
This
yeah, I
was
get that part.
Superman on steroids. This was
Yeah,
ADHD Superman.
yeah. Like, so again, I love Henry Cavill, but honestly would have much preferred us to live more in the Superman Returns world than Man of
Yeah.
Steel because you got
Yes.
that vibrance and that hopefulness that we always talk about.
Yeah.
But again, I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't want like I liked him a little bit more than Brandon Routh, but again, it's just I wish we would have got a sequel to Superman Returns. Man of Steel, I would have loved a
The,
true sequel because that's what we were getting at the time. But
yeah.
looking at these, I would have really had like to explore more in the Superman Returns world.
Yeah. Having said that, actually, and because we said that on the last one, is like, man, I really would have liked a sequel to Superman Returns. It's the same thing. I really would have enjoyed a sequel to Man of Steel, which, again, we were supposed to get. And
Yeah.
to tie it back to what we talked about earlier with the whole back and forth, DC panicked because they saw how much successful Marvel was at the time,
Yep.
and they tried to chase it instead of
Yep.
taking the time and saying, you know what, the formula works. Let's build it from the ground up. Let's take time fleshing out. And they would have been like, oh, you're copying Marvel. Who cares?
Who
It's a winning
cares?
formula. Who cares?
Yeah.
We would have gotten better universe from it. You would have taken time to introduce Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green
Yep.
Lantern,
Green
Martian
Lantern.
Manhunter, like all of these characters that I grew up loving from the Justice League cartoon, Justice League Unlimited, and then seeing
Yep.
them come together ultimately like that would have been awesome. But no, we got this bastardization of a universe just because people got worried that
Yep.
they weren't going to be as successful. And then again, conflict of vision. I know eventually we're gonna have to talk about Batman versus Superman and Justice League and the Flash and everything else. We'll get there. Oh god, we'll get there. But again, you can't run away from the fact that that's the reality of the situation.
Yep.
That they shot themselves in the foot trying to chase success because they panicked when they should have just taken their time, bit the bullet, and said, "Hey, we're going to follow that. Let's do
Yep.
it. Let's both be successful." But no. And we end up where we're at now with a new Superman movie getting rebooted again, where they're already trying to gear up a universe because that's the world we live in now. You have to have a fleshed out universe with 10 years of advanced projects, and it needs to be a success, which is it's kind of worrisome.
It's getting
Like,
harder to do in the landscape we're in.
yeah. And I'm kind of worried about the new
Yeah.
Superman movie. I'm optimistic,
I'm just
but I'm
optimistic because
worried.
of the people behind it. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, we talked about James Gunn and how, I don't think he has a miss either in terms of like his films that he's done. So I mean, I'm optimistic because
Not in the sense of story, no.
he has a way of taking characters. Like I just, finished Creature Commandos, And he has a way of just taking these off, kilt characters that no one's even one heard of or even cares about, and making them interesting. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious on how he's able to tackle Superman, the most iconic superhero, in the world.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's the only reason why I'm worried about it, is because I'm like, oh, I just really want it to be good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is the return to truth, justice, American way, and just show him being the hero that we know, that we love, that we look up to. I don't need Messiah Superman. I need Superman. But yeah. Aside from that, I don't have anything else to say about Superman. What about you?
No, I think we hit it on the head here. Look, so I think we did pretty good.
Awesome. Hey, high five. We made it. We
Woo!
made it to the end. We did all six of the Superman movies. And like you said, we will not be doing Justice League. We won't be doing
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman, because these are just standalone Superman movies. The focal point is Superman. But yes,
Yep.
thank y'all so much for joining us on this journey of Superman. And please like, subscribe. As Robert always says, get in the comments. What do y'all think about the ranked list? Do you agree with it? Are we completely wrong? Get in the comments. We want to have a
Let
dialogue
us
about
know.
this.
Let
Exactly,
us know.
exactly. And with that being said, I know Robert, I don't want to speak for you, but I know that I've really enjoyed doing the rank series. Like we just finished this one. We did Mission Impossible. Would you like to let the audience know the other projects we have going on, but would you also like to reveal what we have next for the ranked series?
I can definitely do that for the rank series. After this one, we are going to be doing the Conjuring franchise. So that is what all three Conjurings, the Annabelle series. I don't work what 8, 9 movies or something
Yeah,
in
the
that
Nun
whole
series.
franchise. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Nun. We're going to be doing all of them again, just like this, video by video, um, leading up to what we presume is going to be the final Conjuring movie. They said that with the third one, and here we are. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we'll hopefully, if everything goes smoothly, every week Thursdays we'll be dropping a new ranked Conjuring franchise video leading up to, was it Conjuring the Last Rites?
Mm-hmm. Conjuring Last Rites.
Last Rites. We'll see.
Yeah. Last Rites. This time it's personal.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Well, yes, the reveal is out. As Robert just said, we will be doing the Conjuring universe, all 8/9/10 movies. We might throw La Llorona in there. We're still
Yeah.
deciding.
Time
But
permitting.
yeah, yes, exactly. Time permitting. We're trying to time it out perfectly to line up with the premiere. But yeah, did you also want to let them know about the other projects we have going on as well?
Uh, the ones we've already done, or what's coming in the future?
What we've done so far.
What we've done so far. Well, spoiler alert, we have stuff planned for the future to be announced. But yeah, so we have this. I mean, if you watching this video, hopefully you watched the previous Superman ranked videos. There's what, 6 total now on the channel, so feel free to go back and watch those. Along with this, we have our Mission Impossible rank series. We've been enjoying doing these franchise-based ranked and tier list. So check that out. We also have a bunch of trailer reactions. I mean, got like 60s, close to 60, 55, 60 now. Now we're doing movies, shows, video games. We're branching out. We are taking requests from our community, so they're suggesting some stuff. So we like to give y'all what you all want us to do. So if you want us to do more video games, let us know. If you have something you want us to react to specifically, we have a video should be going up on the channel where we did just that, and that was a whole lot of fun. It was definitely something different, and I don't think that was something we even remotely was going to do. And, a user commented, we looked at it, we said, we can do that. So get down in the comments, let us know.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you as always for everything. And thank y'all as well for your time. We'll see you in the next one.